Anybody who hears this can naturally be shocked, but still, I love the story. So let me start. I'm just reading it from a book, so you just listen. The lies of the Bible began with the exclusion of all defining letters. The truth is that the gods created earth. God has a name. However, when something is identified name, it has more power. We will not give him such a luxury. He will only be known as God. The heavens were already in existence. God and Lucifer, equals in power, ruled the heavens and controlled the royal legion of angels. There were 90 in total. With God and Lucifer, it was 92. God and Lucifer were not only equal rulers, they were best friends and brothers who wanted to create a new species. As you might have already guessed, the species they had in mind was the human race. The earth was created to have a place for the new species to exist out of heaven. Technically, it was already in existence, but merely a huge lifeless rock before all of this taking place. The biblical story about God creating the earth in 7 days is entirely false. Christians often attempt to justify this made up story by saying the 7 days is symbolic, but in reality, it was a long process of trial and error spanning across several different ages. There was no actual need or purpose for the human race. God and Lucifer were really just creating for pleasure's sake. For those who have trouble accepting humans were created out of boredom, consider the same inner drive to create that makes humans craft art. Creating life and the earth were the arts of the gods. Not only did God and Lucifer have to figure out the ideal atmospheric conditions to support life on earth, the landscape and other factors also needed to be perfect for their ambitions of creating a new living species to become a reality. Once the proper living conditions on earth was in place, the two creators began experimenting with life. Do you remember the dinosaurs we saw in the movie what is that movie? Jurassic Park. Okay. I forgot the name. Okay, Jurassic Park. You've seen dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park. Where did the dinosaurs go? Where did they go all of a sudden? Those were all experiments. Okay. So when the dinosaurs there were no humans. All the animals were huge looking. At that time, there were elephants. They were huge. They were called woolly mammoths. They were huge. But there was no human at that time. So that was part of an experiment. Dinosaurs, saber-toothed tigers, woolly mammoths, and different types of animals which no longer exist today were all part of this experimental process. Eventually, God and Lucifer decided to create human beings. They agreed the human race would be built in their image. God created the mechanics of the body and Lucifer created the mind and emotions. Lucifer modeled the mind to be the same as angels. God was uncomfortable with this and decided to mentally suppress humans, allowing them only to use 5 to 10% of their brain capacity. This is the only reason humans are not able to tap into their full divine potential here on earth. God did this to ensure humans would never be as powerful as angels. The mind is genuinely where power is kept. As a result, humans are left ignorant and in the dark of the real divine spark within them. This ignorance is reinforced by Christianity, which programs us to believe we are born flawed and must redeem ourselves. Only death releases the divine spark from its lowly prison. God wanted humans pre-modeled to follow obediently with free will. He wanted humans to be his race of worshipping beings with no free will. Lucifer was firmly against this, and it became the source of their first disagreement, the final conflict which unfolded the chain of events that shaped reality as we know it today. Lucifer wanted humans to have free will. In the beginning, God and Lucifer shared much love for each other. However, their relationship quickly became a huge source of conflict over the issue of free will. This was not initially included in the creation of human beings. God believed a secure life of ignorance was better suited for humans than a life of freedom and responsibility. To settle the disagreement, they decided to let things play out organically and see for themselves. A case study was started which is where we get the Garden of Eden and the story of Adam and Eve. The tree of knowledge represents our right to pursue an education in all forms. God created the Garden of Eden as a paradise full of comfort and security. He was confident the human couple would never give up these beautiful living conditions in exchange for knowledge, freedom, and limitless potential. Lucifer came to Eve in human form, not as a serpent, and made his offer. He explained that free will and knowledge offers limitless potential, but that they would lose their paradise and security in exchange for such a gift. Eve was interested by this offer and presented it to Adam, even though they would ultimately have to give up their safe and secure life in paradise. What Lucifer was offering was true greatness, the opportunity to stop living life on autopilot like an animal and start living on their own terms. Eventually, they chose Lucifer's offer, and this infuriated God. A battle began between Lucifer and God, lasting for days on end. During this time, there was also disagreements and tension unfolding among the royal legion of angels. Many angels were coming up with innovative ideas such as the concept of economics, love, alchemy, etc. God and the majority of angels were very adamant about not wanting humans to have any of this. However, there were still many angels who desired humans use and enjoy their concepts to create a more dynamic life. During this time, it was not an even split. God still had a reasonable good handle on the legend. Nonetheless, a third were on Lucifer's side and actively supported his ideas. Yeah, I know. When you know this story, that this is very interesting. When you get to know the other side of this, it's really then only you will understand. Then that is when you will know that so many lies have been fed to humans. So many lies. So we should know the other side also. Lucifer ultimately won the battle over free will. In retaliation, God decided that since free will exists, He would create hell to punish people who would inevitably abuse it. By his logic, the only way to maintain order was through fear. This clearly reflected in the way Christianity was designed, with its ideals of complete submission to God, obey His every word without question, or be punished for eternity. Everyone knows hell as a place where sinners go to suffer for eternity. However, very few understand much else about it or how it is structured. On earth, we know it as hell. In heaven, hell was called the hive, H-V-E, hive. It is called this because it has 7 levels of punishment. Each descending level represents a more severe degree of eternal punishment. The hive's layers are concentric, which is why it is known as the 7 circles of hell.